Of a crazy man named Captain K cosplay. He's a lunatic, thinks he's a lot of different people. I, meanwhile, am J. Jonah Jameson. I'm very excited to be here with you in Boise. I have been doing a national tour, going from city to city to discuss a very important issue, and that is the threat posed by Spider-Man. Boo! Wow, now it's getting confusing, isn't it? All right, so to go over the basic rules of this real quick, I'm gonna do my introduction. There's a microphone right there. If you've got the guts or the brains to agree with me, come up to the mic and say so. And if you've got questions or contradictions, you can also come up to the microphone to be slaughtered by my verbiage as I counterpoint you into oblivion. Yeah. The way this is gonna work is, basically you might be asking, J. Jonah Jameson is here in Boise? How did this happen? How did Wizard World land an A-list celebrity like the editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle? I'll answer that question. The way they did this is I am trying to address an issue, and that is Spider-Man. A lot of cities outside of New York don't understand the threat that Spider-Man possesses. All they hear are the good stories. They don't understand the struggles and horrors of living with a superhero like that in your city at all times. I am here to educate you, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Next question might be, J. Jonah Jameson, you're so famous you could probably be on CNN. Why aren't you there? Another good question. The reason I'm attacking Comic-Cons is because this is a den of debauchery involving the support of Spider-Man. See, you can hear him now. My menace sense is tingling. And I am here to address this problem head on, because this is the only place people find it appropriate to dress as a criminal vigilante or wear t-shirts or hats supporting a criminal vigilante. And it ends now. I am here to put a stop to it. Before we get too far, I know you're all a bunch of nerds. You're the ones I wouldn't hang out with in high school. Well, I was too busy doing cool things like editing the school newspaper to talk about the latest statue that had been vandalized. You were doing nerd things like watching movies and reading comics. And just so you know that I can still relate to you losers, I like to let you know this. If I had to choose between Star Trek and Star Wars, I choose Star Wars. Because at the end of the day, Star Wars teaches us a great lesson. If you wear masks, you're a villain, and you're probably gonna get shot. Great story, love it. Secondarily, if I had to be sorted into a Hogwarts house, I believe that I would be sorted into Hufflepuff because of my calm demeanor and caring nature. So now that you know that I know how to speak nerd, we can move on. Spider-Man is one of the greatest threats New York City faces. It's just a fact. We have something unlike anything else. We have someone who decides that wearing a costume and hiding their identity is somehow going to benefit our city. I, in all my times of traveling throughout the states, have never had a good explanation as to why someone would need to wear a mask if they plan on being a hero. It just doesn't work. I'm gonna give you a little simulation here real quick. Imagine you're walking down the streets, you're downtown, it's maybe midnight 30, you're going along, and someone comes across from you, and they're walking up, and they start pulling on a mask. Does your first thought go, I bet he's here to save the day? Or do you go, something bad's about to happen, and he doesn't want us to know who he is? Of course, you're all smart, you do the latter. Yet somehow with Spider-Man, we excuse the masks, we excuse the hiding who he is, and we excuse the identities, and I don't even know why. I see someone's already at the microphone.
Microphone's too tall.
Spider-Man did it, look, he's right there. He's right there, obviously.
So you say you have a problem with superheroes in New York, yet there is an Avengers base there, and
Oof.
Spider-Man is part of Avengers. Explain that.
Ish. I would like to review his record of applying to superhero teams. Remember how the Fantastic Four never decided to become the Fantastic Five? Because they had the brains to go, nah. We don't need this kind of criminal element here. The Avengers, meanwhile, have a whole bunch of complicated characters. But I choose to believe that we could talk about, I see a shirt right there, Captain America. Can we agree that that's a hero? Captain America right there, Captain America right there, love it. Captain America supporters are throughout this room, and they should be. Why? This is a member of our military. And this isn't Captain America slash, I don't know, it's Captain America slash Steve Rogers. We know who to go to, we know who to talk to. And so I like to believe that Steve Rogers is keeping an eye on Spider-Man. He's got to keep it contained. And I'm not saying that anyone would go so far, because they're superheroes and they're still not to be trusted entirely. But I do believe that they're keeping an eye on him. Better to keep him close and controlled in those moments where he's an Avenger. But I don't think that any Avenger was excited to have him. Good question, better answer. Next question.
Jonah, you love to talk about Spider-Man being a menace, but you've been involved with a menace yourself. You were partly responsible for propelling Matt Gergen into the role as Scorpion, and he nearly created a nuclear meltdown in New York, which you claimed was partly your fault and you wished you hadn't done it. And who was it that saved the day? I believe it was our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Whose side are you on? All right, we've got a lot to unpack here. First, I would like to start off with, as you so eloquently stated, that I did admit fault. I have been known to admit fault. And when consequences come due, you know who to address. You know that you can address J. Jonah Jameson here in person. You know who you can forward the checks to, or you can require your insurances to contact. Me, with Spider-Man, I don't get that privilege. When he does mess up, because can we admit that he's messed up before? Absolutely. And he serves no consequences. So this is where I need to introduce a slogan. I've trademarked it. I need money every time you use it. This is a J. Jonah Jameson original. With great power comes great accountability. And Spider-Man has no accountability, therefore he deserves no great power. I have accountability. You can come to me, we can talk about this. And now again, as for Mr. Gargan, we have to realize how this all started. Let's approach this. You know, where was my head at when this developed? We talked about Captain America already. How did he get his superpowers?
A test bot.
Test. He was a test. He was a test for the military. They infused him with things, and he became powerful and one of the greatest heroes we've ever known. So imagine being me with some flexible finances, and you're approached by Mr. Gargan going, I want to do that too. I think if I get things in me, I will become something great, and I'll take care of the menace of Spider-Man. That is too great of an offer to pass up. If I could have made the second Captain America, you'd all be thanking me right now. And if they had originally not bothered to try, we would not have the first Captain America. So admittedly, things didn't go to plan. But we'll talk about something else as far as Mr. Gargan goes. What is he known as now?
The Scorpion.
The Scorpion. A bug. The bug has corrupted him. When a man becomes part bug, that's where the problem enters. If he had stayed man, we wouldn't have a problem. We're also noticing that Spider-Man doesn't call himself Man-Spider, does he? He doesn't put humanity first, he puts Spider first. Spider-Man. He has always led toward those spider abilities. That's where he's monstrous. And if you have you ever had a spider crawling up on your pillow in the middle of the night and gone, hey bud? No! You squished that spider. And yet this is the one time we tolerate spiders? No more. Time to squash the spider. Good question. You can cheer. Slaughtered.
I have two things to say.
Oh,
We
boy.
talk a lot about Captain America.
Yeah.
But when the Sokovia Accords came around, the people who were with the government may or may not have been Spider-Man and not Captain America. And also, Spider-Man doesn't reveal his identity because otherwise then villains would probably target people close to him.
What? Hold on. Are you telling me like he's got some grandma waiting at home for him? Are you telling me that there's something that Spider-Man has in the way of family to protect? I imagine, I've got a board on what I think Spider-Man is. First of all, I know he has to be at least 50 years old. At least 50. He achieves scientific feats that should be not possible by anyone that hasn't had at least multiple doctorates. That's the way it is. The other thing is, I think he's more spider than man. I think that's one of the reasons he keeps the mask. He's got 8 eyes, he's got mandibles. He's a freak living in a cave or a sewer somewhere. And that's why we don't see him. Like half the time, he's just not around. Like at least half the time, I'm sure he's cocooned up in a wall somewhere. But let's say, I'm gonna buy a ticket, and I'm gonna get on your flight of fancy that you've just sold me. And we're gonna assume that Mima's waiting for Spider-Man at home, and she just stays up late knitting socks for him until he gets back. We can't have it both ways. We can't have a hero that can take care of a city, but can't take care of Mima. If he can take care of a city, he can take care of Mima. If he can't even take care of Mima, he doesn't deserve the city. That's the problem. Furthermore, we have this great issue as far as concerning ourselves with identity. If someone you knew was Spider-Man, could you imagine that? I have no idea what it would be like to go through an experience like that. That is insane to me. But if someone close to you, someone you saw almost every day was Spider-Man, wouldn't you like to know it? Because that way you can prepare. You can keep yourself safe. You can keep yourself out of danger. Ignorance is not an ally in this issue. And as for the Sokovia Accords, I did not just gloss over that trying to avoid it because it was a very hard question. Sokovia Accords, big issue there. Spider-Man fought for the government, or did he? Did he fight for Iron Man? Is he an idolater of this broken man and just willing to do whatever he wants? I guarantee that if you look into it, Tony Stark has some technology that controls bugs. And that's how it got there. That's my theory on it. Trademark it, keep it, put it in a headline. And Boise agrees. Headline, Boise believes Tony Stark controls Spider-Man. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Next.
Hello, Jameson.
Hello, man.
I got 2 things for you.
Okay.
You argue that I am a criminal, that I am a menace, that I am a disgrace to society, and you would rather burn me at the stake.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
What about when I left my webs in the garbage and you put my suit on in private, webbing, and my friend Betty Brandt saw that and got pictures. So are you dogging on me because you want to be me? Being the adventurous crusade journalist? Oh, and one other thing. Let's not forget how you apologized to me publicly after putting that $10 million on my head for stealing from your son's space shuttle, and then you apologized and asked me to save him for you. And let's not forget his son, Colonel John Jameson. I respect him, but he's also the man wolf.
You're bringing my family into this? You're gonna do this? It's on!
Bring it, Jameson.
All right, so we got a lot to. Oh, you're gonna clap for him? I have so much to unpack here, and we're gonna start step by step. First of all, it's interesting to refer to yourself in the first person as Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's in New York, and there's an epidemic going on right now of people dressing up as characters, acting like they're them, and not stopping. They're crazy, and they need to all be locked up. They're called cosplayers. Watch out for them. I am telling you, there's only a few ways to appease them, and most of it involves giving them money at their tables when they're at conventions. If you do that, they'll stay away. If you buy pictures of them and put them in your house, it keeps them away like a vampire. It's a great way to go. Definitely do that with any cosplayers you know. Secondarily, we talk about wearing the suits. I'm gonna give you a history lesson, boy. When great warriors slew their enemies, they would take the best of their armor and equipment and wear them as badges of honor to show who they had defeated in battle. I defeated Spider-Man in battle, and I won my trophy, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not least, I almost forget what your last part of the question was. Oh yeah, that's the part that made me so mad. First thing, my son, terrible what happened to him. He doesn't pretend it was this great gift that he needs to use to terrorize a city. He is man wolf. Is that what you said?
Yes.
What does he put first, ladies and gentlemen? Man! He puts man first. And yes, he's got some issues to work out. But at the end of the day, he understands the priorities. He is a human first, a wolf second. The wolf got pushed in. And again, at least he's not a bug. It would be way, way worse if he was man beetle. I mean, let's be honest, wolves are cool, right? I don't have to be on the internet long. Tumblr loves them. Therefore, the one person on Tumblr, yeah, we do. So, with that in mind, Man Wolf is a criminal, but what do we admit it is? A criminal. Before that, he was a hero. He was an astronaut. This is a hero to society. Spider-Man, people ask a lot, why do you hate Spider-Man more than this hero or that hero? That might be a question coming up. We'll explore it in more details, should it. But at the end of the day, Spider-Man's the one celebrated more than anyone. We look at other heroes and other villains. Daredevil, he's in trouble all the time with law and press. Everybody in our city gets in trouble with law and press. Iron Man has been in trouble with law and press multiple times. But at the end of the day, Spider-Man, almost always getting a free pass. Look around. How many Spider-Man aficionados do we see? Too many! Yeah, too many. I'm glad we agree. All right, next question.
It's not Spider-Man's fault that he got bit by a radioactive spider. It's not like we want to be bit by anything. It's not our choice. We just get bit. So it's not really his fault.
That is a very good point. Well taken. Boise, is this who you have fighting your fights for you right now? Because she did better than anybody so far. Here's what I'm going to tell you about that. First of all, how do you know that's how this happened? Because if you know things, you should talk to my people. We'll have an article for you. Have your people call my people. We'll work this out. But at the end of the day, you're right. Some people don't want to get bit. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's his fault that he became what he is. That is not my point at all. That's like saying being mad at mutants for being mutants. That's completely beyond the pale. What I believe is, it's still what you do with what you are given. How are you going to behave and how are you going to handle yourself? Do I want to see Spider-Man give up? Yeah. Do I want to see him dead though? Not anymore, really. That didn't work. And so what I want is, again, that accountability. Because we have an issue in our city where imagine being a prosecuting attorney in New York right now. Imagine that. Imagine trying to prosecute the guy you found webbed to a wall in an alley. And you're like, what did he do? And like, we think he mugged someone, maybe. There was a note on him. Why do you think New York has such recidivism problems? Because we can't book anybody. We need communication and we need accountability for Spider-Man. I'm not bothered by what he is as much as I'm bothered by what he does with what he is. Good question. Give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right, next, Harry Potter. See, I'm a nerd.
But if there wasn't a Spider-Man, wouldn't there be lots of chaos?
If there wasn't a Spider-Man, wouldn't there be lots of chaos? You may point to countless evidences of the moments where Spider-Man's not around and the city drops into complete and utter chaos. A lawless martial state, you might even say. But here's what I'm going to counterpoint with. Before we had Spider-Man, how many times did we have oddly consistent redheads and blondes being dangled off of skyscrapers with villains going, "Come out, Spider-Man!" Here's a hint. 0 times. 0 times before Spider-Man. So while Spider-Man does indeed help curb some chaos, we're not addressing the fact that he's created an immense amount of chaos. We didn't have people, so many of our local PhDs going nuts and deciding that Spider-Man was the one to murder until Spider-Man became an issue. So yes, now he's created too much of a problem, and it's very much like he's created an addiction to him. New York is now addicted to Spider-Man because he's created the demand. He creates the demand, he provides the supply, he provides the solution. We don't need to get rid of Spider-Man. Like I said, we've had to alter that. What we need is a Spider-Man that stays in control and remains accountable. Good question. Give him a round of applause. You got me standing up now. You are not ready for this. You are not ready for this.
How's it going? So without Spider-Man, well, you wouldn't be anywhere either. You wouldn't be here doing this. You'd be nowhere, because you need him to hate it.
You're right, I wouldn't be here, and I'm fine with that. Secondarily, how dare you, sir? I can sell newspapers reviewing Kleenex. Before Spider-Man, I was unmasking corrupt police chiefs. And just like now, everyone told me before that, no, Jameson, he's a hero. Stop trying to badger a hero. Turns out he wasn't, and I'm gonna eventually do the same as Spider-Man. And when Spider-Man's out of my way, I'm gonna move on to the next hero. There's a devil in Hell's Kitchen that needs a mask pulled off, and I'm gonna be that guy. I could do this for days, bleeding into months, slowly and surely, until I'm eventually reviewing equestrian events. And it'll still sell like crazy, because I'm a journalist. Can we hear it for the journalists? Paper is the future. This internet is a fad. It's only been around for a couple of decades. Print's been around since the 1600s. That's dependability. You want print. Next question.
All right, if we did lock up all of our superheroes in New York City, what would be your solution for superpowered bad guys and villains?
Great, good question. Once again, I do believe that we do have the ability to cooperate in greater ways with the heroes we have. Some of those especially that we know are established heroes. Captain America should be leading a task force designed exclusively for these purposes. I do trust our boys in blue. I think they should be equipped with more training because at the end of the day, they've done nothing to grow against the threats around them. It's like we don't even have research and development departments at NYPD anymore. It's like, well, the Rhino's here again. What do we have this time? Nothing. Same cars, same guns that bounce off him. We need to start having our police force get funding. That's why I believe that I should run for president in 2020, and I will fund our police forces to prepare them for our threats. J. Jonah Jameson 2020. Thank you.
Hey Skipper, sorry I got held up at the office because that kid Parker was telling me the devil gave him a divorce or something.
That guy.
Yeah. So I got a question though.
Yeah.
Worldwide, right now the press's numbers are going down because people on the internet keep saying fake news. Yeah. But sadly, it seems like Spider-Man, just like a certain politician's number, keep going up.
Yeah.
Don't we run the risk of ostracizing him and making him more popular like Donald Trump?
Are you saying that negative press is giving him somehow more attention that's leading to success?
On the interwebs.
That's crazy. No idea where that correlation's coming from. You make a good point. That is, I've been told a lot, maybe we talked about him less, people would celebrate him less. But I believe there is the opposite effect happening. As he surges, I have to combat him thoroughly, and eventually he can be beaten down. The one thing I never want is people to be desensitized to Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's doing something crazy every day, and it's hard to keep track of it. So I want to make sure that every day you're reminded, we don't normally have guys swinging around in their underoos. That's not normal, so I gotta keep us aware. Vigilance is the motto of the Daily Bugle.
All right, thanks, boss.
Thank you very much. Get back to work. I did not pay for you to fly out here.
Okay, so you said that when Spider-Man came on the scene, all of a sudden the PhDs and the scientists suddenly had to go after him because how bad he was. Now, as a PhD and a scientist myself, are you trying to claim that the PhDs and scientists were in fact sane before Spider-Man came? And perhaps Spider-Man is the one that is unmasking the insanity within the scientific community, which we all know exists.
As a PhD and a scientist, are you threatening me?
I can mutate you at will.
That is the vibe I just heard, ladies and gentlemen. I might have misspoke that the intention was taken. I never once claimed that they were ever sane. That was not my intention. I do not believe that they are heroes. That is not at all my goal. My goal is to say they've been pushed even further over the edge. Before that, we said unstable people you didn't want to talk to at Starbucks. Like they'd be at Starbucks, you're like, I'm not talking to this person. Now we're like, I have to talk to this person because they've got their hand around my throat and they're dangling me off a bridge. That's the evolution that Spider-Man has created in our scientific community. I am not anti-intellectual. I am anti-intellectual that all of a sudden associates with an animal persona.
Even lab rats?
Oh. Good question. Thank you very much.
Do you have a crush on Spider-Man?
Are you saying that I spent time looking at how good he looks in his spandex suit? Are you saying that I take pictures home at night? Yes, that is correct. I do have what we might call a crush on Spider-Man. But it's wanting to crush him. Good question. Oh, God.
I'm wearing this mask because I don't want to get sued by you. There's not a chance that's going to happen. So, my question is this. It seems like the Daily Bugle gets a lot of photos of Spider-Man, whereas other newspapers don't. How do we know you don't have an in with Spider-Man in order to sell papers?
Ooh. Ooh. Shut up. That is actually a very good question. I like how you think. I need you on staff. Send me your resume. What I'm going to tell you is this. There's one person that I'm glad we haven't brought up until now, but his name is Peter Parker. That is my liaison. It is well documented. I've credited him in footnotes on opposite pages from which his photographs are featured. He is the go-to. That's the liaison. Do I trust Peter in his relationship? No. But this is a kid that would leave his hand stapled to a desk if I left him alone for more than 15 minutes. I am so worried about what I'm going to come home to because I've left him alone so long. How he does this, I don't know. But I've got an exclusivity contract with him. It benefits me greatly. Me. What? Sorry, did you speak up? That was weird. Unrelated note, I have no idea who Spider-Man could be. Like, if anyone's got a good tip, let me know. But no, you make a good point. I, myself, have never needed, you know who I would like to be liaisoning? I didn't start this Spider-Man thing. It's well documented that my article that I wanted printed was my son's big news about being an astronaut. And then Spider-Man saves a bus full of kids, and all of a sudden that has to be front page news. That's where it started. He entered my life. I have not entered his. Good question, though. Very sharp. Don't help him. Yeah, smattering.
Frank Castle, private citizen.
Member of the military, I believe.
Sure. I agree with your assessment. Real heroes don't wear masks. All right?
That's correct.
But following up on your last question, I'm wondering if you can give me the whereabouts of this staff photographer, Peter Parker, who seems to be in the right place at all the right times.
It's true, and he achieves impossible angles. Like, he would have to be like on one of the window cleaning units outside of skyscrapers for some of these shots. That's the only reason he sells the job. But an employer should never give personal information about whereabouts of any of their staff members. Having said that, you seem trustable, so he's actually right on an apartment between 15th and 14th, right by Broadway Avenue. Stop by and see him. Just say hi. Say hi for me if you're heading over soon. I appreciate that.
Big fan.
Yeah, glad to hear it. I'm so tired of people talking about Peter Parker. I come all the way out here, and everyone wants to talk about some knucklehead photographer. Boo! I see swagger. You're ready.
So, if you're so against superheroes wearing masks, so if you're saying Spider-Man came out, said who he was, still saved people, would you still be against him?
If we had his identity, if the mask's ability to mask was lost, I would begin supporting him. He has lots of crimes to answer for, and he's got lots of paychecks to fill. I can't tell you how many times my window's been smashed through in my office. I can't tell you how many times I've been kidnapped by people who think I somehow have an association with Spider-Man, and that he'll be interested in the fact that I've been kidnapped. Once we've answered these issues, only then, and only then, will I see him making path toward progress on that issue, and I will then at that point support him.
What about all the heroes that still wear masks that, you know, like say, Iron Man? Yes, he did come out saying that he was Tony Stark. He still wears masks. There's also other ones that still wear masks. There's ones that don't wear masks, but you don't know who they are.
Here, what we got issues of semantics. I am a journalist, so I know words. I have the best words. And Iron Man does not wear a mask. It's called a helmet. It's armor. Do you see knights going around the medieval age going, I can't wait to put on my mask? No, they grab their helmet, they get ready for war. I don't like Tony Stark. But I would never insult him by saying he wears a mask. He put way more work than Spider-Man did. Good question. Next.
So what if Spider-Man happened to be someone who was working under you? Just completely coincidentally, not at all factual, at all.
Are you saying Robbie is Spider-Man?
No, I'm saying what if, completely coincidentally not.
Okay, then very hypothetically. I've thought about that before because I've gone through a very traumatic instance, and that was, you might have read about it in my newspaper. Green Goblin. We were all familiar with this villain. And you might also know Norman Osborn, CEO of Oscorp, proud advertiser in the Daily Bugle. Sure, he's been found out as a villain, but his checks are still clearing, so you know. And I remember I had been going to fundraisers with Norman Osborn. I'd been doing dinners, I'd been meeting the mayor with Norman Osborn, and when I found out he was Green Goblin, I was sick to my stomach, and I said, I'm never going through this again. I'm never gonna find out a masked vigilante or villain is a close personal friend of mine. Never happening. If it did, I'd probably have a heart attack, just guessing. But luckily, I would know if anyone close to me is Spider-Man. I've got the journalistic sense like nobody else. I would sniff out a Spider-Man in no time. If Spider-Man started working for me, I'd find out 10 minutes tops. I'd notice, because there'd be inconsistencies. He'd show up to work bruised and battered. He would disappear on random moments. He would fail to fulfill photography obligations during a big battle. So yeah, I'd figure it out. I'm a smart guy.
Quick note, as a representative of Tumblr, I ship it.
Yes! I assume that means I'm going on vacation.
Nope.
I'm gonna have to Google this, aren't I?
Yep.
Am I gonna be afraid?
Yep. Absolutely.
Ooh. Harry Potter.
Why are you so mad at Spider-Man when he saves the day every day?
You are not supposed to help me. Oh. You know what? You're right. Maybe I shouldn't be so mad at him for saving the day. But what I'll tell you is I've never been mad at him for saving the day. I've been mad at the conduct in which he saves the day, and I've been mad at the response to his saving the day, and I've been mad that he sometimes doesn't save the day, and that doesn't get talked about. But when he saves the day, when he saved my son, I will admit I was very glad for that to happen. He saved my son, I admit this, I still blame him for everything around it though. So, come over here. Stand right over here. What's your name? Olivia, come here. Give Olivia a round of applause. You have the hardest hitting question so far. Are you a big fan of Spider-Man?
Yes,
Why do you like Spider-Man?
because he's good and he saves the day.
Because he's good and he saves the day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank Olivia for fighting the battle for you so far. There's only about 2 marks in my armor right now. She's got both of them. All right. Ugh.
Hey, boss. Sorry, JJ. I just barely got back from Counter Earth. Got the pictures that you asked. Spider-Man, Lady Berman, and he even found your son.
Really?
Yes. We got him back okay. He's in the hospital. I'm sorry. But, I think I need to come clean with you on something.
Okay.
So you still have me in that, deal where I only come to you, right?
Yeah.
For Spidey photos? Yeah, I'm Spider-Man.
No, he isn't.
Get out of here with that.
I'm just kidding. I just want to play a joke on you. I got the photos, so can I get
Yep.
200 for him?
How about 100?
120.
108.
I'll take it.
Great! Good job, kid. Round of applause. You're nervous. Remember I told you about cosplayers? Oh, God. I mean, hello! What is your great question?
You have such an obsession with Spider-Man. How are we to know that you are not Spider-Man?
What I just heard was, J. Jonah Jameson, I know you look that good in spandex. Is it you? Very good context clue. This is what we do as investigative journalists. We have to go, I spent a lot of time doing that myself. I have compared more butts to Spider-Man's butts than I care to admit in my quest to solve who it is. I also fit the age range, right? I said I'd have to be older, a genius, I am these things. So I really like where you're going with this. But what I'll tell you is I, unlike many people in this room, have been seen in the same place as Spider-Man. I'm gonna prove it to you. We got some documentary books here. This is me fighting off an invasion of demons from the city of New York with a shotgun. There's Spider-Man. And this is me fighting off more demons with a piece of wood, because you don't need powers to be a hero, with Spider-Man. Both of these cases, by the way, I had to break myself out of his issues. And last but not least, here he is breaking up the wedding of Betty Brant because he's a jerk. And I was trying to officiate. So there is your evidence, miss. Great, and now I've seen that I've really, the interesting questions have just given up. I feel like I'm winning. I'm loving it. So we're gonna talk about some other issues I like to bring. Oh, no, there we go. Boise still has courage in you.
A little bit. So, as you showed the two photos of you with Spider-Man in the same room, how do we know you guys aren't like, buddy-buddy?
Because each time I've been with Spider-Man, I've ended up tied to a chair, or electrocuted, or trampled by rhinos, or had my car destroyed, or had my office destroyed, or had my office building destroyed. So I ask you this. You've had friends, maybe. If your friends had done all that to you, even if you grew up in grade school with them, would you still be friends?
I mean, if it's an inside job.
No. We don't. I have been electrocuted. I have been thrown off of buildings. I am very queasy when I get moving at high speeds. I am not worried about Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not even made my life miserable. If I could generate, I think the assumption here is I am helping Spider-Man get famous to benefit myself. The fact of the matter is, if I was making up a villain, I'd do so much better. Spider-Man? What is that? I just take a spider and a man and put it together? Now I got a villain. I'm way more creative than that. You need at least 3 animals. I want hyena, bear, man, pig. That'd be my villain. Because I got creativity. That's the villain that J. Jonah Jameson would make and be in association, in cahoots with. Bad question.
What's with the mustache?
What's with the mustache? Would you care to elaborate on that veiled comment?
It looks like trash.
J. Jonah Jameson suffers insults at the hands of Spider-Man. Boise did nothing. Next headline. I'm sorry, I thought we were a body positivity crowd. No? We don't like mustaches now? We're saying it makes it creepy to have a mustache? At the end of the day, this is what we like to call a toothbrush mustache. It's been worn by the likes of Charlie Chaplin, one of our greatest entertainers, my personal hero. And at the end of the day, a mustache is power. If you can grow a mustache, you're good to go. You know who probably doesn't have a mustache? Spider-Man. How do I know? When you wear a mask and pull through, your mustache sticks out a little bit. And I've never seen that with Spider-Man. So what I'm hearing from Spider-Man is mustache envy, folks. He wishes he had it. Maybe I'll donate someday.
Hey boss, just got a telegraph.
Oh boy.
Yeah, my buddy from Metropolis had a question. Has Parker ever been seen at the same time as Superman?
All right, here's what I'm gonna tell you about this. I like to talk about characters that are real. Superman does not exist. This is a figment of your imagination generated by a comic book writer. I'm talking about real threats, real heroes, real villains. I'm talking about Spider-Man. That's real. Jeez Louise. Next question.
Back to the mustache thing.
Why?
Are you inferring that you've been close enough to tell if there is a mustache sticking through his mask? Thank you.
No, I'm saying that I have been wearing one, and I see it, and in photographs it shows up well, and Peter Parker pulled off some high HD quality photographs now. It's not like his first photos. These are HD, you can zoom way in, see every contour of his suit. It's awesome.
So we're talking about Spider-Man, but there's a lot of other superheroes that have the same thing, like Batman. You have put that first, I'm only
No.
10, but I can do this all day.
You could. Whoa. Ouch. What I'm gonna tell you is this, now we're back into this fantasy land, and I get asked a lot, like, what do you think about this fake person that reminds us of this real person, Spider-Man? Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Batman, were he real, again, buying that ticket to that flight of fancy you just set me sail on, Batman's a problem. I think we can objectively agree that Batman does not benefit his city greatly. He has a weird code that gets in the way of saving people more often than not. Lots of people have died. And does anyone want to move to Gotham in real life? You're like, Batman made that a place I want to go to. I can't wait to get covered in tear gas and then plant pheromones. It's gonna be great. So Batman is a perfect example. Were he real, I would hold him up as an example of all the problems that Spider-Man is. Thank you for the support, I appreciate it. All right, these are gonna be our last 3 questions. Let's try and move through them.
Jonah, it's fair to say that you don't appreciate Spider-Man because he takes the law into his own hands.
That is very fair.
So can you speak to your involvement with Alistair Smythe and helping the Spider Slayers kill Spider-Man?
To be fair, I was mayor at the time, and governments can't break laws. Secondarily, you will be reminded that I also resigned from my position. New York was doing great. New York was doing greater than ever. I made New York great again. It was awesome. But then I resigned when that Spider Slayer incident went way foul. Who suffered the most at the hands of the Spider Slayers? Was it Spider-Man or this guy? Wrong. I lost my second wife! Ugh. So yeah, the mistakes were made. At the end of the day, I learned an important lesson that I hope you all take away from this panel. When it comes to spiders, don't deal with them. Do not work with Spider-Man, do not tolerate spiders, do not do anything spider. Spider-Boy, Spider-Girl, Spider-Dog, Spider-Woman, Spider-Bots, none of it, it's all bad! Next question.
My question is, if you complain about all the bad that Spider-Man's done for the city, what do you feel about the destruction that the Incredible Hulk and Thor have brought upon?
Brilliant question. Hulk, threat. No accountability, no ability to restrain him. He needs to be jettisoned into space. We never need to see him again. That is my step 1 plan for J. Jonah Jameson's campaign 2020. As for Thor, great point. We hear a lot of talk about these days in the news and the politics about illegal aliens, and yet I'm not hearing us talk about the actual real aliens that are on our planet, and they're not sending their best. They're sending their refugees, they're sending their warriors, their murderers, their trickers, and they're coming right to Earth and settling. We need to build a wall on the Bifrost, shut it down, no more Asgardians, no more illegal aliens, no more getting into our city, our countries. They don't pay taxes. They don't do anything. They set up their own government. We're done with the aliens. J. Jonah Jameson 2020. All right. Now this is round 15. The big punch. What do you got, Olivia?
Spider-Man saves the day, but he destroys buildings.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
It's not about what buildings are destroyed, it's about what people are saved.
I've got really bad news for you, Olivia, and I hope you're old enough to hear this. People are in buildings. If you keep staring, I'm gonna give up. I feel like I just said, well, I won't even say that. I just said Batman isn't real. That's what I felt like. All right, last question.
So, if... One second, I forgot.
You can just thank me for being here. It's a great option. I thought Boise knew how to host a guest.
Batman's a great person. I mean, not Batman, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a great person, and he may destroy some buildings once in a while, but we have evacuation and stuff like that. And
Yeah, we have a whole system of evacuation thanks to Spider-Man.
Spider-Man wasn't around, he would just let villains roam New York and terrorize people, and let serial killers kill people.
Whoa, good point. here's what I'm gonna tell you. How many times has Spider-Man captured a villain and then we never heard from them again? How many times have been like, the Rhino who? Remember that guy he one time tried to rob a bank once? Remember him? No. We have, hey, it's the Rhino again. But didn't Spider-Man take care of him? Does he ever? Very good point. We have reached, unfortunately, the end of this panel. Aww. This has been an absolute blast, but it comes time now to decide wins. Will it be time for me to... We're not there yet. Will I deem that my attacks in Boise have been too extreme? Will I offer remission to my statements? Or do we know who it is? So on one hand, let's hear it for Spider-Man. And on the other hand, let's hear it for J. Jonah Jameson. We're kind of split. And now let's hear it for Olivia. Come on back up here, Olivia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time, as long as I've been doing this, that I admit, come on right over here, that I have invested in debate and combat in an intellectual fashion. You did it. Congratulations. What do you have to say?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Olivia. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Olivia. Thank you so much. Now, with that in mind, if you are sane and intelligent and want to support my cause, I, like any great celebrity, have taken up this cause and I'm providing you solutions, like every celebrity does, with a little rubber wristband. If you would like to take a little rubber wristband home, they go for $3 each, or you can buy 2 for $5 or 5 for $10. I'll have them at the front right here, or you can come to my table and get even more of them there. But show your support for J. Jonah Jameson today. You've been absolutely phenomenal, Boise. Thank you so much for having me. If you had fun, make sure you let Wizard World know. If you didn't, message me at Captain K Cosplay. I'll edit your messages and send them to Wizard World myself. Thank you very much. The thing?
What kind of pictures do you want?
I want pictures of Spider-Man! And he's everywhere! Let's get on it! Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Can I buy some of...
You absolutely. How many would you like?
2.
2.
I want to get some for my dad.
Great, thank you so much. You were awesome. You kicked butt. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for asking.
Anytime. Perfect. Thank you so much for the support. I couldn't keep doing this without people like you.
That was a lot of fun. You did.
Thank you so much.
You need to get a t-shirt. Great power, great
accountability. Done. This time next year, they'll be at my table. Making it happen.
You're amazing.
Thank you so much.